We live, y'all. Welcome to Nah, but for real. I'm Jay. She's Allie, and welcome to the NBFR family. Season 3, of course, coming bigger and better. So, yeah, we finna get into this days, if I say this week's today's topic, which actually plays off a little bit of Tuesdays. I'm sorry, still getting used to the schedule. Tuesday's topic, um, and that is burnout. So we wanted to go ahead and I guess get to the fire before it starts because we all know how that New Year resolution going. Y'all check it out. It's still going for you. Like has it stopped? What's it looking like? Because we all know how those New Year's resolutions get. We really get into it for that first, I would say week, but for some people it would be that first day. Those first couple of
Mm.
days, we really into it, we really driving it home. Second day, we're kind of bored of it. Third day, or third week, if you're that type of person, done for. You want a new resolution. You want a new year. You're like, I'll just start next year, or you just completely, what the new phrase is burnt out. Just completely done for. Just completely given out so soon too. Like then we start doubting ourselves, and all these thoughts come into our head. Like, why can't I keep up with anything? What the fuck, you know? So I really want to get on this topic before it got too late and you guys gave up on those New Year's resolutions. Listen to this first, and then you can choose if you want to give up, but don't. So Allie, when I told her that this is the topic I want to talk about really early on in the season, she said, "Yeah, let's go for it," cause like she got a lot of information and stuff about it. So, when you said that, let's talk about it. What were you thinking when I said the word burnout? It's a scary word. Have you ever faced it? What have you done to overcome it? Tell me about it.
For sure, have faced a burnout. Now, it's a little different because I have the experience with working with with people, and so usually like if you work with people, it would be considered like compassion fatigue. It's like the other side, like for like the social services or people who like nurses, things like that. It's equivalent to like burnout, but it's like not being able to or struggling with your compassion for others because you're literally exhausted. So it's like kind of like the same, like the burnout with the
Yeah.
regular burnout. Now, when you said it, it just made me think of like, oh, self care. Beat the bush before it like just get on top of that
Beats you.
because if you yeah exactly if you just keep saying okay I'm gonna work 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 but you're not taking the time to say let me rest, then your burnout or your compassion fatigue is gonna hit and it's gonna hit hard. And so when you said it, I was like, oh yeah, let's go ahead. And I know we have a episode where we talked about self care. We could probably put that in the link below too with the the self care and what types of self care there is because there's lots of different types of self care. But making sure that before you burn out that you are staying consistent with your self care because that will help like a lot. But that's pretty much like what I was really thinking about when you said burnout. I was like, "Who child?" Like even I'm like kind of getting to the point of burnout with being exhausted, honestly, with life. Like that's also like a thing, just exhausted with
Mm-hmm.
life and like the pressures of like with COVID and like thinking, oh, we're gonna be able to travel, and then no, like it's just exhausting thinking that things are gonna just uplift or thinking like okay well let me work hard now so that later I can play but then play don't come around so that you just like I said keep working and you keep putting it on that pressure on yourself to get whatever it is done. Like for me it could be cleaning the house, cooking, making sure that things are kept up in the house, like making sure that there's constantly like just things, just making sure everything runs smoothly in the house. That's for my married people out there, married women, like just making sure the house runs smoothly. And then if you have kids, baby, that's just a whole nother thing. Like right now I've been nannying, so working with a mom of seven, freaking love her, mom of seven, okay, y'all, and having seven kids. Okay, having seven kids between the ages of 1 to 10, y'all, burnout, compassion fatigue, and just all of it because you emotionally having to be there for them, emotionally and socially trying to make sure that you're good. It's just, it could be a lot. So, kudos to the moms out there because you're full time. Like, there is no break.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I get to go home and sleep, and it's no longer like noises in my head or mommy, mommy, mommy. But kudos to y'all. But yeah, that's pretty much what, when you said burnout, I was like, oh man, self care, number one. Like that has to be at the forefront um, of of everything. I don't know. Like even I don't know. I'm just thinking about so much right now. So I'm gonna slow down. I'm gonna digress. I'm gonna push it back to you.
Yeah. I agree that self care plays a huge role. But I've been listening to a lot of podcasts, just on like, I guess I don't even want to say the science. I'm gonna use the science for a better word, for an easier word. The science behind a lot of things. Let's put it like that. For me,
Hmm.
I've been super obsessed with the science behind sleep, or the science behind, like, actually really nitty gritty understanding what sleep is, or why we sleep, or why we need to sleep, or what rest is. And something I've come across is it should not be it should be a part of your success plan. Rest should be a part of getting to where you have to go. You actually have to schedule it and make sure that rest, because we can't keep going. We're not machines. And I feel like that we understand that less and less as we get into the fact that we're everything's online, the fact that everything is digitalized now. Like, we don't really have a step away where we actually get to realize, like, I need to rest, like, not sleep, rest. Get my eyes away from whatever is constantly moving. Get my, just be with myself. And I'm sure, as well as everyone else who was born in my era, and especially with phones, it's hard to put them down. It's hard to step away from
Hmm.
the laptop. Just the thought, like I said, I've been researching a lot about sleep itself, because it's people. I don't know if y'all know, but I have a really hard time with falling asleep, which I actually had to recently categorize, because I just would say I have a problem sleeping. And as I start listening to this podcast, I'm like, I really need to start actually specifying what I mean when I say I have a problem sleeping. Because when I'm asleep, I don't have a problem staying asleep. I have a problem going to sleep, falling asleep. And that's two different categories. Okay, why is that?
Hmm.
And then I start looking up, okay, blue light. Well, blue light's every freaking where. I work from home on my laptop, and I stare at my laptop all day. If not, I'm on the podcast. I'm editing for the podcast, and I'm staring at my laptop again. If not, okay, I'm going to take a break. What does my break look like? Get on my phone. What does my break look like? Watch a movie. Like, it's blue light all day,
Hmm.
constantly. And my brain is like, do we go to sleep? Like, do we go to sleep now? When exactly is there the light not looking at me? Because, my maker told me I'm supposed to go to sleep when it's dark, and it's never dark here. So I don't know. And you really have to, like, retrain ourselves to understand that we need rest away from everything, and do the research to understand what rest looks like. Um,
Hmm.
and like you said, shout out to the moms out there, because it's gonna look very, very different for them out there, and the single dads and y'all as
Hmm.
well. Single parents in general, shout out to y'all, because child, rest will look very
Hmm.
strange. So I feel like we need to tackle rest and what resting really is before we even get on burnout, especially in this grinding ass culture that I've just come to hate. Like, y'all, I took such a long social media break at the end of the year, because working in social media and being on social media 24/7, and then I had a work J, I had a it's J Rose J, and then I had a Jalen Montgomery from the South Side of Chicago who just want to see her friends. Like, and distinguishing who these three people are, they're completely separate people, and trying to give each one of them time. It's like, girl, I'm gonna explode. I feel like if I see one more post, I'm just gonna die. Like, and it's not that I have a very negative feed or anything like that. It's just like, you just become so overwhelmed, and you're consuming so much that I personally believe humans aren't supposed to consume at that rate without a break. Like, I don't think that we don't understand how our bodies work enough to be feeding it constant interaction in rates that you don't know how you're going to respond. At that, you're going to swipe down, you might see
Hmm.
an animal get ran over, you might swipe down and see a baby,
Hmm.
but you don't know how you're going to respond. You can't even get yourself prepared. So I personally don't feel like humans are adapted to that. We might like, our bodies might have responded, but I don't feel like our bodies have adapted to that constant movement. And I don't think it should. I don't think it's okay for that, because obviously I'm not the only one with sleep problems. I'm not the only one with burnout. I'm not the only one with negative self-talk, because of all of this that we're seeing constantly. It's playing a huge role on how we respond in our daily lives, in our burnout. So I feel like one thing that we all have to touch on is rest, and what rest looks like. It's in a digital age, is what I'm trying to say. It's something that's very digital. We almost never release from blue light, or never release from constant engagement and interaction. Even if you one of them people, well, I don't post on Facebook. Like I just said, you can scroll and you don't know who posted what. You don't know what's gonna pop up at all, regardless of what your feed looks like. It can be an ad that just resonates with you terribly. It's a bunch of those for me. I'm like, this is whack, you know. I just hate this. But and you can't turn it off, you can't do anything. And you consume it to the point where we become numb to it, but our bodies are still reacting to it. Um, so yeah, I feel like that plays into self care, understanding how to sit with yourself. And when I say with yourself, I mean not on your phone, looking and scrolling, with yourself in silence and understanding what to do during those quiet moments and feeling comfortable
Mm.
during those quiet moments too. So, what's your take on that? Like, in terms of when, in regards to rest, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, like, can we talk about that? So for me,
Yeah.
my sense of rest, I like to call it, I have goals for myself, my mind, body, and soul. And so my soul goal is to make sure that daily I am getting my soul retreat. And it looks different every day, but something that's going to be me just being completely alone with myself. And so when I do that, I'll turn on I like to activate my senses. So I'll either have a candle going or an incense going or my oil diffuser going. My lights here, I have my lights on, and it's like, usually I do it like during my nighttime routine or during my morning time routine. So it's like dark outside. So it looks like it's not too much light going on in here. And then have my sound waves going with like the wind sound, something that's calming for me. For some, it might be different. Some people might like the waves, or some people might like music. Just making sure there's no words in it. It's just a sound. And then I'll just take that time to literally, I'll be stretching. I'll go inside of my head where my therapist, I've talked about my healing garden. So I'll go in my head and like kind of adventure in my healing garden, like kind of envision like a pond with like just envisioning what my garden looks like. And pretty much interacting with my childhood, my inner child, and also interacting with like my, I don't know what to call this part of me. I keep forgetting because it's not really my higher self. I don't think I want to call it my higher self anymore, because it's like when I said that, this part of me was like, I'm not higher than no one. Don't call me that. So I was like, oh, correct. Absolutely correct. So I don't really know yet what to call that side of me, but pretty much my future self, or the part of me that's like, these are my goals, aspirations. This is what we're going to do. And just interacting with both of that, like my inner child and my other side. I don't know yet, but just doing that for some time. Usually it's like an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours sometimes. And it helps me wind down so I can actually go to sleep. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what mine looks like.
Um, you just made me think of a quote when you said something about a soul retreat, or using rest time as your soul retreat time. There's a quote, and I'm probably gonna butcher this. I'm gonna paraphrase it from Queen Afua's book. What the hell is that? Sacred Women. It's super popular. I'm sure y'all have seen it. It's a purple book. Got super popular in the last 2 years, but she had a quote that like has always stuck with me. Um, which is allow. I'm paraphrasing this, yeah. Allow your soul, allow yourself to give your soul time to rest. And talking about having a soul retreat is more than, I think that's where it becomes more than sleep. That's when you realize it's more than just going to sleep. Like your soul is like almost another entity. So giving your soul that permission to say, okay, I didn't ran you through the mud. Like it is your time to take a break. And your soul's break might not be sleep. That's your body's break. That's physically your
Mm-hmm.
body's break. But what do you do to allow your soul to rest? Like, to chill the hell out. And my goal is different from yours because I have, and during therapy, I, explore my inner child and explore my ideal self, and the difference between the
Oh, I
two.
like that.
But what?
Ideal
What you like?
self. That's
Oh,
ideal self. Like that actually, like that
yeah.
that resonates better than higher self.
Yeah. So like exploring the two, but I've understood with myself as I can become very compulsive and very obsessive about my ideal self to the point where like it bothers my rest as well. So a lot of the times when I find myself resting now, as after going through therapy and understanding like sleep, before I go to sleep I allow myself to 2 hours, to 1 to 2 hours. I'm getting to two, but it be one now, but 1 to 2 hours of just kind of silence where my phone is unplugged. I mean, it's plugged up on the other side of my room, so I'm not really bothering it. TV turned off. At the beginning of those 2 hours, I might do some basic things like laundry, just things that like I would have to do anyways, regardless of who I am. Laundry has to get done, regardless of who I am. I have to wash my ass. So, laundry, taking a shower, things like that, where I come to terms with my present self. And that's somebody who a lot of times doesn't get attention. Is my present self. Is
Mm-hmm.
who I'm being right now. I ignore the hell out of her a lot. Like, and that's where burnout comes from. Because either I'm tripping over something in the past, or I'm doing so much so that I won't be that person in the past again. I'm trying to be this ideal self that my present self is like, bitch, I didn't eat today. Like, can you feed me? Can you like look at me? So during that time, I really engage with who I am right now. I'll sit in the bathtub and just journal what I did today, or journal, what I'm doing right now, or just pay attention to what I'm doing right now. What this water feels like. Oh, this feels so good. I got the bubble. Just talking to myself in that moment. Um, Almost like you would a friend when you call a friend and you talk about what you doing right now. Like, you're not talking about who did something to you earlier in the week. You're not talking about some wise playing on your childhood trauma. And you're not talking about, okay, I'm about to level up so this person can't do this no more. No. You're saying, this is what I'm doing right at this moment. I'm in the car. I'm engaged with who I am right now. And I feel like that has helped me. I don't want to say overcome burnout because I'm still struggling, especially with trying to immerse myself in social media. I struggle with burnout because I struggle with who I am right now. I don't want to say quote unquote identity crisis, but you start looking at who you want to be to the point where you become so obsessed, like I said earlier, that you forget to take care of who you are at the moment. So that's what my rest looks like. Talking to Jay currently, not Jay 2025.
As you were like talking about like struggling with being present, it made me think. I've told this to my husband, and I've said this to a friend, but I have this like theory, or I don't know if it's called a theory, I don't know, but I think of this like this. So we have ourself in the present moment, and then we have like our inner child, our inner teen in the past moments. And then, like what you say, your ideal self, your future self, what you're striving to be, what you're striving to become in the future. And so sometimes our past self or our inner child can pull us so hard. Our present self, it can pull the present and say, here, look at me, come this way, and kind of take you away from your future self, that you are now focused on your past, and you're not really getting those goals or those aspirations. You're not focusing so much on it. Or on the other hand, you're focusing so much on the future. The future self is like, hey, look at me. So now you're like focusing so much on the future that sometimes you could forget who you are, where you come from, or you can neglect yourself and say, well, I haven't ate all day long, but I'm still gonna write down what I need to write down so that I can get this shit done. And so thinking of our present self, and maybe it's because I'm a Libra, but thinking of our present self as the balance, like finding balance, finding a way where you can say, here, let me show
Yeah.
some time to my inner child, my younger self, or my inner teen, and remembering where I come from, what got me here, what things I've gone through to make me who I am, at the same time as making sure I'm hitting those goals. I'm making sure I know what my goals are all the time. That's why I like my mind, body, soul. I always have a goal for each one, if not multiple goals for each one. And so just kind of trying to find a way to balance your ideal future self and your inner child or past self, and just kind of just trying to see like, how can I balance it? Because having too much of either one can it can honestly just it can make you go crazy, honestly, because you don't even know where to even start.
Yeah. I mean, I feel
So
like
yeah,
having
that's
too
what made
much
me.
of your present self as well, because then you become very
Hmm.
stagnant in who you are. Not saying
Yep.
that you shouldn't like your position, because I feel like that's something that I struggle with, is liking my position regardless. Where like when I deleted social media, that's when I finally realized, like, girl, like, do you see where you have catapulted yourself? Like, what the fuck? How are you ignoring that person? Like, you don't see where you're sitting. What the hell? And a lot of times I don't, because I'm just moving 24/7. I don't realize I'm trying to keep up with somebody who I don't even fucking know, or I'm trying to keep up with a version of me who I have yet to meet.
Mm-hmm.
While that inner child or whoever was telling me back in the past that you're not good enough for this, which is where burnout comes in, because you like, I'm gonna show you, when really, girl, you need to be
Mm-hmm.
showing yourself, who you are right now.
Yep.
So I feel like yes, it's the balanced middle, but that cannot be out of balance either, who you are right now. Like,
Right.
I feel like you don't want to be too comfortable with, I mean, you want to be
Mm-hmm.
comfortable, I don't want to say too comfortable. You don't want to be stagnant in where you are right now, because you don't want to neglect future opportunities for yourself, or
Yes. Yep.
neglect opportunities to take so that you can further who you want to be, your ideal self. But at the same time, you don't want to neglect that person either. You don't want to just completely abandon who you are right now, because then you fuck around and not realize that you're your future self and you didn't even see yourself get there. Like, and that's me. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like, girl, like, hello, you
Mm-hmm.
did it. It's okay, clap for yourself. But then you
Mm-hmm.
done made a whole new future self for yourself, and you now you're in the child like, okay, well, I told you this. This is who you are, and you'll never be better than it. Just constant self
Mm-hmm.
doubt when you don't have that balance, or constant self talk. That's not gonna get any better from being on social media 24/7. Not saying that it doesn't have an important role in our lives. Like, I feel like I said, I need to be on social media. I don't really have a choice. We live in a digital age. I don't have a choice. But at the same time, making sure you have a very solid foundation in who you are currently, in all of
Mm-hmm.
those regions, actually, who you were, who you are, and where you're going. You need to be solid in all three. And I feel like that when you start getting there, I feel like that's when it's like, burnout who? Like, we don't know, sis. It don't happen, because I can be aware of what I need right now. I can be aware of
Mm-hmm.
what I need to get to where I'm going, and I can be aware of what I needed so that I can nourish that, and so that those problems that happened in the past will not come up again.
Right.
And
You
I feel
know,
like that's where
I
burnout
also
is.
I also have like this thought that we are our past, present, and future self existing in one. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
constantly like it's all together. So even though yes we are present, our past self, inner child, inner teen, like that's literally a trigger can happen right here, right there, and you're going to react probably if you're not aware of it the exact same way you would have when you were 5, like honestly. And then you have your future
Yep.
self with the whole
Yep.
goals and aspirations and the things that you want to get done. And so that's a part of you right here, right now. Like you know that these are my goals. I'm going to be a successful author one day. That's a goal. So that is your future self speaking
Right.
out in that moment. So thinking of our past, present, future self existing in one and thinking of balancing it. That's what's kind of helped me these past couple of weeks
Mm-hmm.
with organizing my goals and organizing my thoughts so I can stay on top of things. Is just thinking of myself as a balance and making sure at every single given moment in time, I'm paying attention to my mind, my body, and my soul to make sure that it's aligned so that I can just keep moving so that you like you said we don't get like stagnant and paying attention to the inner child and the ideal self just paying attention to all of it at the same time.
Yeah. To prohibit, I feel like, burnout. Especially with things like, and I know everybody understands this, things like health. Like, that burnout, it seems like it comes super quick, because you can physically feel like your body saying, this is different and you've never been good at this, so sit your ass down and eat a Twinkie. Like, I can relate. Like, girl, you're not good at this. We don't do this. We don't run. Your legs hurt. Like, you can feel your body responding and saying no. Whereas a lot of other
Mhm.
things that we do, it's very subtle, and they build and they build and they build until you just like, why am I failing in all of this? Or why am I not even happy with where I'm going? I put so much work in, and now I don't even care anymore, you know? So I feel like it does come from self care. It does come from awareness of every part of
Mhm.
our body, not just the physical aspect, which I feel like that's why everybody's so quick to give up on the gym over like giving up on early, I should say. Give up on the gym early, other than giving up on maybe therapy a little bit. That people still give up on therapy, but they'll take a little bit more time. They'll wait till it starts getting a
Mhm.
little rough, and then your brain says, "We don't need a therapist. This don't make you feel good. We're supposed to be helping. Things like that."
Mhm.
Whereas your body is like, "I'm not going to the gym on Monday. I hurt. I'm in pain." But we need to really start giving the same amount of attention to other parts of us as well. It's very important, and I feel like when talking about burnout, we need to understand ourselves as a personal being. When I first talked about the subject, or when I first wanted to bring up the subject, I was thinking very broad, but it's like it's no way to talk about anything like burnout and like self-care on a broad spectrum. Is so personal. Like you almost have to really
Mhm.
get into what their childhood was like, or what comforted you. Did you wear a swaddle until you were like 3 months, things like that.
Mhm.
How are people talking to you, or what do you do on a daily basis? It's so personal that you, as a person, I feel like after watching this episode, we want to leave you with, go study yourself first before even, we should have said this in December, before even making that New Year's resolution. Go study yourself and remind yourself of who you, the reason why you're making this resolution, the reason why. Keep reminding yourself of that, but also keep feeding who you are at the moment. Like there's nothing wrong with who you are right now, and be comfortable with who you are right now, because you've obviously made it through a lot of shit to be where you are right now. Period. Point blank. I don't give a fuck what you made it through. You're here.
Period.
So appreciate that person that
Passable.
is
A
sitting here
pandemic.
right now. Right, exactly. So, although
Mhm.
I feel like neither one of us can give you the full blown resume or what to do A, B, and C blueprint of how to avoid burnout. I can say, for me personally, I think it starts with studying and understanding who you are right now as a person.
Agreed. Because once you figure out like who you are as a person, then it helps with figuring out what, like I said, our self care for ourselves is different. Like I have my sound waves going, have my incense going. I'm activating my senses. I know that to keep me calm, I have to activate my senses to keep me together. So think about yourself and what do you need to keep you calm or keep you together. Like you said, you like it to be silent. Me, I get uncomfortable in
Mm-hmm.
silence. So like knowing those different things about you
Yeah.
that help you so that you can actually use it to your advantage.
Yeah. And I'm actually the opposite, where I like to move. Like, and I think it's because I sit down all day. I work from my laptop all day. I'm sitting on my ass all day, y'all, other than going to the
Hmm.
gym. Where my resting looks like, I might go downstairs in my house and get on the treadmill for a couple minutes. I might cook without the phone right there. I might, just do something so that I can engage with who I am and what things I like, in all three parts of myself. Uh, but as well as just getting
Hmm.
away from who expectations, almost like just getting away from who people think you're supposed to be and maybe who you think you're supposed to be, and just living where you're supposed to be right now for even just 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 10 minutes. If that's all you got, parents out there, I feel you. 10 minutes to just sit in the bathroom or sit in the tub, whatever the case may be comfortable with sitting with yourself. And I mean, without a spouse, without a kid, without a boss, just remembering who you
Hmm.
are, can help in, I feel like, any situation for anything. So I'm hoping that that helps with y'all's New Year's resolutions, and I'm hoping that that's helping you stick to your New Year's resolution, remembering that you can be exactly who you want to be, but you have to understand who you are right now to avoid burnout. So, if this resonated with you and you
Hmm.
like this episode and you like all the previous episodes as well, make sure that you are subscribed to our YouTube channel at NBFR Podcast. Also, make sure that you are following us on all of our social media platforms at Podcast, as well as TikTok now. We there now, y'all. Come hit us up. Also, make sure that you are following us individually at Alondra Renee on Instagram and at IsJRose on Instagram. And make sure that you are leaving reviews for season 3, because y'all been a little dry. I hate to get on y'all, but y'all the family. Y'all been quite crunchy. So make sure that you're coming and leaving reviews. We want to know how we're doing for future episodes. So until next time, bye bye.